This light Cahill parachute features a modeled body, a unique method for creating the post, and a hackle that's wrapped up the post rather than down. The fly starts with a size 14 dry fly hook. I really like something with a slightly longer shank. Begin by getting the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. For thread, I've loaded a bobbin with a spool of Semperfli 12/0 classic waxed in tan. It has a small diameter, is quite strong, and has a good bit of grip. Get the thread started on the hook shank about an eye length and a half back from the back edge of the hook eye. After taking a half dozen or so wraps rearward, snip off the excess tag. While keeping their tips aligned, pull down a dozen or so fibers on a well-marked wood duck flank feather. Then, pull the stem away to strip the fibers free. Measure to form a tail a hook shank in length, then transfer that measurement rearward to the start of the bend. Begin taking thread wraps to secure the fibers to the top of the hook shank, pulling up and toward you on them as you go. This will keep the fibers centered on top of the shank. Bind them down all the way to the start of the bend. Then, position your tying thread about 2/3 of the way up the shank and snip the excess butt ends off close. White polypropylene floating yarn is used to create the parachute post. The stiffness of this material is necessary for this posting technique. Snip a card-width segment free. Get hold of one end in the fingertips of your left hand and begin securing the yarn to the top of the hook shank with tight rearward wraps of tying thread. Snip the excess rearward pointing portion off at a shallow angle. Now, take tight forward wraps to bind the material down to just shy of the initial tie-in point. Pull up on the yarn and begin twisting it clockwise as if you're looking down on it. Really twist it up. Pinch the midpoint of the yarn with your left hand and fold the top part down to the hook shank. When you release the material, it should furl into a twist. Anchor the forward pointing portion to the hook shank with nice tight wraps of tying thread. Make sure it's bound down well. You can then snip the excess forward pointing material off at a shallow angle. And there you have it, a furled wing post that's really quite stiff and well contained. It's also anchored in two places, so it has less of a tendency to spin on the hook shank. Relocate your tying thread to just in front of the hook point. Two colors of kapok dubbing are used to form the body of the fly, danica and light brown. Kapok is actually a plant material that's extremely light, so it helps the fly to float. It was even once used to make high-floating life jackets. Separately, card both colors by pulling the clumps apart several times to roughly align the fibers. Leave both clumps within easy reach. Also, place within easy reach a dubbing whirl and some hackle pliers. Pull down on your bobbin to expose about 3 inches of tying thread. Pick up one of the clumps of kapok and orient it so the fibers run roughly parallel to the thread. This will allow you to create a very slender 2-inch long noodle that should look something like this. Place a left-hand finger on the thread below the dubbing noodle, then bring your bobbin up to the hook shank and take wraps to make a dubbing loop. Now, twist the loop in your fingers so the undubbed leg is toward you. Use the second color of dubbing to create a similar sized noodle on the second leg. Get hold of your dubbing whirl and place it in the bottom of the loop. Give the whirl a healthy clockwise spin as if you're looking down on it. This will twist the 2 dubbing noodles into a multicolored rope. Get hold of your hackle pliers and affix them to the thread below the twisted dubbing rope. This will allow you to snip the heavy dubbing whirl free and make wrapping much easier. Take wraps so the dubbing rope begins right at the base of the tail, then position your tying thread in front of the wing post. Start taking touching forward wraps with the dubbing rope up the hook shank to create a multicolored and segmented body on the fly. With the body complete, anchor the rope with tight wraps of tying thread and snip the excess off close. Use the darker colored dubbing to create a short, very thin noodle on your tying thread. Then take wraps with that noodle to fill in and darken the thorax portion of the fly. End with a clockwise wrap around the wing post to position your tying thread in front of the post on the near side of the fly. It should now look something like this. For hackle, you can use cream or here kind of a cream grizzly. Measure to find a feather with the correct size barbules, here size 14. Then pluck that feather free from the skin. With the shiny or front side of the feather facing you, strip the lower fuzzy and webby fibers from both sides of the stem, then strip just a few more fibers from only the top edge. This extra little bit of bare stem will help the feather to wrap correctly. With the shiny side of the feather facing forward, lay the bare stem of the feather against the near side of the post so the barbules start right at the base of the post. Take tight upward wraps of tying thread to anchor the stem to the post. Go about 1/8 of an inch up, then back down with smooth touching wraps. This both anchors the feather and further stiffens the post. Snip the excess butt end off close. Get hold of the fly and rotate it just shy of 90 degrees in your tying vise, like so. Grab the feather's tip with hackle pliers and begin taking touching wraps with it behind your tying thread up the post. After 6 or 7 turns, anchor the hackle tip to the post above the wraps with 3 or 4 turns of tying thread. Once the feather's anchored, snip the excess off using just the very tips of your tying scissors. Pick up your whip finish tool and use it to do a 4 or 5 turn left to right whip finish. Seat the knot really well, then snip or cut your tying thread free. Reorient the fly back to its normal position in your tying vise. Although it isn't completely necessary, snip any wayward hackle fibers off close. You can then trim the wing post off to about a hook shank in height. It's super important to place a drop of head cement, here Sally Hansen hard as nails, on those thread wraps above the hackle. It will not only permanently secure the wraps, but it will also wick down the post and adhere the hackle stem to it, which makes the fly very durable. This tying method produces a fly with an extremely clean, mottled, and segmented body, and the hook eye is absolutely clear of obstruction.